Palantir's AIP Con just ended. I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of stuff I want to get into, but the biggest takeaway I have, and I think everyone who watched even one out of the 6 presentations will be able to resonate with, is that clients trust Palantir. Now, why is this so important? Why is this necessary, especially in this new age of AI that we're getting into? Alex Karp, who's did an interview on Bloomberg today, has basically been saying for the past 6 months, really the past couple of years, because they've been building this for a long time, but the past 6 months, that if you cannot organize data effectively in a way that's secure and trustable, has guardrails, auditability, etc., no organization on the planet, no enterprise, no government, no nonprofit, no one will allow you to have proprietary data. Proprietary just means they own the data, like a hospital owns their patient data, right? It's all proprietary to them in order to train LLMs. Now, why does this matter? LLMs have fundamentally architected LLMs have fundamentally re-architected the paradigm by which humans engage with software. It is a new world. What is an LLM? It's a large language model. So instead of typing into Google that indexes billions of websites, you type something that has been trained on all of that content in the first place, and then all of that content that's been trained within an LLM gives you an answer. In order for that LLM to be valuable and drive business intelligence, the data it's trained on needs to be properly secured. And this is one of the defining things I've heard from every single person that was at this conference, from Cisco, from JD, from Cleveland Clinic, from Panasonic, from Jacob, from HCA Healthcare. All of them are saying that not only did we trust Palantir, they listened to us about our concerns. They worked with us to try to build out a specific solution that was architected for us. And as a result of that, we were happy to give them our proprietary data to work within our LLMs to train those large language models to then drive business intelligence for us. So my biggest takeaway is that if AI is the exponential S-curve we all think it can be in a variety of industries, energy, healthcare, hospitals, etc., then the only thing that differentiates a company that's trying to build AI infrastructure for an enterprise, for a government, for a military, is if that data is securely operated. I don't think that's the only moat, but I think that's one hell of a moat. And it doesn't seem like there's many companies on the planet that can do that. Snowflake, as a competitor to Palantir, just acquired a company to try to help them be able to do that. Palantir already has these products in the hands of clients doing it because they've been able to showcase the value that it has been. So that's the first top level raw thought I have. AIP is secure, and clients believe it is secure. A couple of quotes that I have from some of the clients. Cisco, the VP of engineering, he said, "We trust Palantir." Cleveland Clinic, "We needed a partner, not an existing solution." Panasonic, "Palantir actually listens to us and then helps us build solutions." So for everyone that says Palantir is a consulting firm, by the way, a short report came out today. How ironic, on the day of the conference. We'll cover that in another video, where they say Palantir is just a consulting firm. It has a big retail army. It's a black box software. They're not really AI. Essentially, they said their AI is fraud driven. To call them a consulting firm is not totally inaccurate. The problem is, the implication of that is that you don't think a consulting firm can scale. And that's what we're in this for, right? We're not investing in Palantir for them to work with 1 to 5 clients. We want them to work with 1,000 clients. Well, the question becomes, can a consulting firm actually scale? My response to this is that the network effects built by actually building products that are tailored for an organization are massive. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say you spend 18 months with an oil company to really build them something special. Or, I mean, let's even take Panasonic. Panasonic's entire example was, let's use JD. JD was actually a little bit better one. JD's entire example is Palantir worked with us to build a large language model that made sense. They listened to all of our concerns. And over the course of whatever it was, 12, 18 months, we were able to build a really meaningful product. Well, if you're JD and you've done that, when Palantir introduces the next product, who are you going to go with? You're not going to go with some random salesman that is calling up your engineers and trying to get them to buy some type of it's going to be the company that worked with you for 18 months, which is why BP still uses Palantir, because Palantir consulted with them for years to be able to build out their product. In fact, they made them work exclusively with them in the oil and gas industry, at least from the big guys, because they wanted their software so badly and they didn't want their competitors to have a chance to get it. So in that context, it is really, really important to consult with the client when you're building them not an out-of-the-box solution, not something they can download from a website, but something that transforms their business. And what are you investing in? Are you investing in a company that you can just download some of their software, or are you investing in a company that is going to drive transformational results via an AI infrastructure tech stack that you're building and implementing across an organization? And if that's the case, then it seems like Palantir gets the job done, which means the network effects of that are upscaling existing clients, but also those clients telling other clients about how good of a job that Palantir was able to do, which is what Alex Karp, the CEO, just said in the Bloomberg interview today. He said, "We released a song and everyone is singing it." everyone's playing our music. There's a bunch of radio stations, he's talking about their clients, basically playing their song, which is Palantir's AIP product, to all these other different people. And as a result of that, that is what's leading to a massive network effect in terms of the consulting scalability for Palantir. So those are my high-level raw thoughts. The first thought is that clients actually trust Palantir, which it seems to be a really unique differentiated moat to be able to sell this AIP platform. And the second biggest thing is that Palantir is building customized, tailored solutions via AIP that transform an organization's capacity to be able to either grow revenue or cut costs, which is what an organization needs to do. And as a result of that, that is the ingrown network effect, especially when that drives organic demand without you having to hire a massive sales force. I mean, if Palantir can scale AIP without needing a crazy big sales force like Snowflake or CRM or any of these guys, that is going to be muy bueno for margins, but it's also going to be really good because the product's actually scaling because customers actually want it organically. Essentially, they don't have to be sold the product to be able to understand why the product is good. Okay, so those are my top level raw thoughts. Now, let's get into some deeper thoughts on the actual presentations I saw. So I'll cover the presentations in other videos a little bit more deeper, but I want to highlight a couple of core things that I saw that were important. The first one is JD. Okay, so for those that don't know, JD is a consumer intelligence company. They've been around for a long time. They have billions of data points, and all those billions of data points are essentially hoarded with them, and then they license that out. They use it in a lot of different ways. They provide a lot of intelligence and reports. It's kind of like Nielsen for advertising. They do a ton of ratings, and they create all these reports, and then they give them to organizations, et cetera, et cetera. JD Power is trying to build a consumer-facing product for clients that can use their essentially software for in the example that they showed, to buy a car, right? So if I want to buy a car, how can I buy a car in a more effective way? Right now, if you're trying to buy a car, you would go to Google, be like, which four-seat sedan is good for me to buy? Or like Honda Civics that are under 20,000 or whatever you would type in, right? The example we saw here was that instead of leveraging GPT-4 from OpenAI, essentially ChatGPT, right, and implementing that within your organization, JD Power created a business and consumer use case for a AI product that they can then put into businesses and then also put in to the hands of consumers, where someone can type in, I want an electric hybrid, I want in a hybrid car, this price, blah, 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 type in a bunch of details, and then it gives you results automatically. And that result is not just some result that you would get on Google. That result is indexed across thousands of other different results that could then be paired with all these different charts and modules, et cetera, that create a way to access information, which is what this whole game is about when it comes to AI. How quickly and effectively and efficiently can you access information that changes the trajectory of your business or the trajectory of the life cycle for the customer that's using your product? Now, the interesting thing here is, why did they use AIP over ChatGPT? Their argument was ChatGPT is useless. And this was really interesting when he said that. And the reason he said ChatGPT is useless is because not only is it hallucinating in the context of giving all the wrong info, it's not trained on anything proprietary. It's cut off after September 2021. Now, obviously, ChatGPT is going to get better and better and better. But in this moment, and it takes a long time for it to get better, right? It's not just going to happen immediately. In this moment, the proprietary nature of that data implemented within an organization, and if ChatGPT does get better, it has to be in organizations. So Microsoft has to sell it somehow to clients so that they can be able to use it in order for it to have any business value. If it doesn't have any business value, there's no true organizational value for the company that's trying to be able to use it. So from JD Power, I thought one of their biggest things was about how can we use Palantir's essentially AIP platform to be able to build our products outside of what exists on the market currently, because whatever exists on the market is not really doing it for the stuff that we're trying to do. Now, the next biggest thing I want to talk about, and this will be the last thing, again, I'll cover the other stuffs in different videos as I get a chance to watch them more. This was the other final thing that stood out to me. So Shyam Sankar, when the CTO of Palantir, when he was showing the demos, showed an email about inventory being pasted into the AIP terminal. The email was literally like, hey, we're running low on inventory here, blah, 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 blah. And that's it, like 3 sentences. He takes that email about inventory, posts it into the AIP terminal, and then AIP creates models, simulations, charts, etc. in response to a question against an email. The reason this is so important is because a casual email is just words. It has no context. That email is being indexed across an LLM. That LLM is trained on proprietary data, like how much inventory, the Japan factory has. And then it's giving you responses in seconds on what to do, how to go forward, how you would use this in a different way, how this and happen, what higher up to talk to, blah, blah, blah. All these things you would spend hours, if not weeks or days, trying to figure out an answer to. is done in seconds because the model is trained on data and then indexed against the ontologies. And the technical part of this is just the data that's not siloed across an organization under the hood to be able to get an answer. So the idea that you could do this with just an email, and this was only in the context of supply chains. So when you're thinking about it, it's like, okay, so in the supply chain context, you were able to show something really amazing. What else can you do going forward in a lot of other different organizations as well, and in a lot of other different use cases, which is, the thing I really liked about this conference. Healthcare was a big deal as well. HCA Healthcare, Cleveland Clinic, nursing, staffing, all of these different issues. I was actually at the hospital this morning for some personal reasons, not for me, but for some family. And I didn't even know Palantir went to $15.22. I didn't even know there was a bear report. Like literally Chris called me when I was at the hospital. He was like, yo, did you see the short report? By the way, Chris said it was bullshit for everyone who's afraid that Chris agreed with it. Chris was like, this is such bullshit. But I didn't even know because I was at the hospital this morning, right? And so I come back from the hospital. I get ready to do the live stream, and I'm seeing these directors at major institutions like the Cleveland Clinic basically saying the nursing, the staffing, the wait times, the ability for us to query patient data almost simultaneously to be able to drive better outcomes for our patients is done within seconds because of Palantir's AIP. I'm sure everyone has probably had someone in the hospital at one point that's close to them. When you see something like that and you realize, oh, this is not a game anymore. This is not, hey, ChatGPT, write me an essay in the style of Shakespeare. It's like, no, this is life or death at some level. And when it becomes a question of life or death, and it becomes a question of a hospital actually being empowered to use data in a way that makes it easier for the customer, which is the patient, so that they don't die, so that they're able to survive, they're able to live another day. This is where you start to see AI is not just something that can better recommend a YouTube video and in the way Google wants to use it. AI is not something that can just give you an answer from Bard. AI can save people's lives. And that was the more transformational thing to me in the question of Palantir. Alex Karp said that 13% of hospital beds in the United States are powered by Palantir. I did not know that. Apparently he said that a week ago. I guess I missed it. 13% of hospital beds in the United States. There's a lot of hospital beds in the United States. Think of how many hospitals there are just in your city or in your town. 13% of that means there's a lot of ultimately platform usage from Palantir across the entire United States, which is why the NHS argument to me makes so much sense, because if what Palantir was able to do with Cleveland Clinic, which is one of the largest academic institutions in the world or in the United States when it comes to hospitals and healthcare, if they were able to do that, they would do 1,000x what they're able to do for the NHS, because the NHS is managing 70 million people's patient data. And so the healthcare opportunity is just absolutely massive to me. And I think that healthcare opportunity is going to be big. So I'm going to ask, are there any speakers after lunch? There are not any speakers for us after lunch. If you were actually at the conference, you would be able to see it, but not for those that are here. Final thing I'm going to wrap up for my raw thoughts is some quotes. I was live tweeting them. I am on Twitter at AmitIsInvesting, 755 people here. Please, if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter, make an account, help support free speech. It's the only free speech platform that's left. And if you're there, there's a vibrant Palantir community. You can follow me there. Cisco's Senior Director of Engineering says, we deploy multiple applications like WebEx across multiple geographies that all have different regulatory issues. This is an incredibly complex issue to solve, and Palantir solved it for us. This was the first presentation, and this was a really good one because the guy was a really good speaker, right? So he captured people's attention, and he was like, look, I go to Australia, I go to Latin America, I go to the United States, I go to work with the DoD in the United States that has 3 different branches, and in those 3 different branches, they have 3 more different branches. It's like a fucking tree. It's like I have so many regulatory issues I have to deal with to be able to get our product in the hands of our customers in a way that fits within the regulations they care about, that the only way I could solve this issue is if I had Palantir's Apollo, which is what the presentation was about, helping me able to do this in real time. And so that was a great presentation as well. Cisco director also said, not solving these issues is an existential threat to our business, which is why we want the partner we trust. Again, going back to that theme of trust, Palantir. And I agree with that. If you don't adapt to an artificially intelligent world, your competitors will, and that will be an existential threat to your business. We talked about JD Power, Cleveland Clinic Chief Digital Officer. We worked with Palantir because we were looking for a technology product, not just someone trying to sell us an existing solution. And, this is just like music to my ears because it's what Karp has been saying for a very long time. If you're trying to sell an existing solution, you're not going to be able to really transform an organization. Maybe it takes 18 months to close a deal. Maybe it takes 2 years. Maybe it's not as scalable as something like Snowflake, but is Snowflake around in 15 years? Is an organization fundamentally transformed in a matter of weeks and not years because of the software. And if that's not the case, then I don't think that's that valuable, especially if the valuation of that is already, from a stock market perspective, way too high for a company that's producing commoditized results. Everything I heard today from people saying Palantir works with us, they're not just trying to sell us some bullshit, is that Palantir is valuable. And all we care about is actually generating alpha and value, not just some stakes and PowerPoints that will make us feel like we're doing something for the organization, but we're not. Tweeted some quotes from people. Again, another client saying that Palantir's consulting was actually the reason the technology transformed their business. This was from the Panasonic chief information officer. And so we had a lot of stuff here. Last quote from HCA Healthcare saying, the difference between Palantir was their ability to understand our why, our needs, help us truly adapt a product to our business goals, which is ultimately why they went with Palantir. All right, that's it. Those are my thoughts on Palantir AIPCon. A lot more coverage to come. We will have Finance Junkies tonight and talk about the short report. So we will be discussing the short report very soon on Finance Junkies, 10 p.m. Eastern. It's a podcast I do with 3 other guys, Chris, Carlos, and Vitali, and kind of break down what the short report was trying to say. And we will keep going from there. Thank you, everybody, for being here. There were 724 people. We cracked 1,000 at one point, which was just this was pretty awesome. The Palantir live stream had like 3,000, and we had 1,000, so we had 33% of the Palantir live stream. I appreciate you all. It means the world to me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here with me for the past 3 hours and supporting the live stream, and also just supporting a company and seeing if it can truly become a transformational company, and on this journey that we are all on to see if we can get financially independent or make a decent amount of money putting our trust and capital behind a company that we believe can truly change the world. It's a fun journey, and it's cool to see it all happen. Okay, that's it for me. I'll see you guys on the live stream tonight. Thank you so much, and see you guys in a little bit. Have a good day, everybody.